Carolina Senator Ted Budd says Congress has a role to play in regulating AI. He sits on a subcommittee looking into artificial intelligence, and he joins me now. Senator, thank you so much for being here. First of all, were you at that meeting with Musk?
Was not at that meeting, but again, I'm glad to not hear much about the pause anymore, which we heard just a few months ago. We need to sprint and chew gum in this instance. We've got to do regulation, legislation while AI is being developed. There's so many things to gain from it. Of course, there's things to lose. It can be dangerous, but we've got to make it more good than it is evil, and we've got to be out in front of this.
Now, what makes me nervous, and I think what makes a lot of people nervous, in addition to the concerns that Elon has, are my concerns about regulators right now. Regulators have been making a lot of mistakes over the past 2 years, I think, and I think some of that is pans out in the way the economy's going. We saw the anemic GDP growth rates, et cetera. Do you really feel comfortable with the regulators that this administration has put in place, with them now regulating something as sensitive as AI?
Absolutely not. That's why we need the Senate. That's why we need the House. A lot of smart folks there that have experience with this, with technology. We need to get out in front of this, and we need to be putting it forth, not letting the White House, which has shown incompetence on so many levels, to be in the lead on this. Well, we need to be in front of this from the Senate.
Right. And it's not, I have to say, though, it's not just the White House that I'm critical of. Every time I see one of these tech giants, whether it's Elon or the Microsoft or the Google guy in front of the congressional committee, they usually make mincemeat of the senators and the congressmen that are asking them questions, because they know so much more about it than any one of you guys.
Well, some understand it, some don't. We need to get the ones that are the smartest on this, the best on this, to put together probably a bipartisan group. That's how it's probably going to get passed. But to be pro-innovation, look, we need to innovate rapidly and think wisely on this, and I think we can do both if we put the right people at the table.
Now, there has been an initiative. It's called the Protecting Kids on Social Media Act. It would essentially bar kids 13 below from creating accounts of their own or interacting with other users. Do you favor that act?
Well, you got to look at the details of this, and it's still a little bit of wet cement. Of course, I'm for the idea of this act. We're for protecting our kids. A lot of this starts at the dinner table and about how we train our kids to interact with media and social media. And I think that's where the first responsibility is. And anything we can do to encourage families to take responsibility for their children and their engagement online is the best thing that we can do. But again, the concept is right. Let's just make sure the details are right.
All right. Very quickly, I want to switch to the budget proposal that was passed in the House yesterday. Obviously, the Senate is not going to pass it, but the president wouldn't sign it, and it's not veto-proof. So the key question is here, first of all, is it dead in the water? What effect might it have? And at the very least, what I think Wall Street likes about it is the fact that we have this gridlock, because while that's dead in the water, any move to create new taxes by the Biden administration would be dead because of the Republican House, right?
Well, Kevin McCarthy and the Republicans took a great lead, winning with 217 votes last night. They did a great job. So, again, 5 stars for Kevin McCarthy for his leadership. He took the first step. I think Biden should have taken the first step, but he did not. And now it's really up to the White House. They can't stay in their lockdown position. They've got to come out there. They've got to offer something. And let's see what Kevin McCarthy and the president can put together. But so far, we're seeing no movement from the White House, and we need to see them engage on this issue before it gets to be a real problem in June.
Finally, here's a what-if question. What if Democrats try to say, okay, we'll cut the budget if you allow us to throw in some tax increases or perhaps even new taxes? You've seen buyer's remorse from people like Senator Manchin now on the so-called Anti-Inflation Act. He's saying he was snookered in that deal. Would he go along with another deal that might not follow through on budget cuts in order to get tax increases?
Well, let's get to the root of this. The problem is not a tax problem. The problem is a spending problem. So we've got to do this $4.8 trillion reduction that Kevin McCarthy was able to pass last night in order to solve the problem. I don't think taxation or taxing issues are going to fix this. So we've got to get to the root, which is spending. So let's focus on that, and let's see what we can negotiate with the White House.
Final point. I want to press you on this, because if there is some kind of proposal by Democrats to say, okay, sure, we're for cutting spending, but you got to allow us to increase taxes. Is there any Republican or Senator Manchin that would go along with that idea?
I can't speak for other Republicans. I can say that I'm against tax increases because the root of the issue is spending.
Yeah. All right, Senator, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you coming in. Well, California.